The Beaumont family lived a quiet life in Somerton Park, a peaceful suburb of Adelaide, South Australia. Jim and Nancy Beaumont were loving parents to their 3 children. Jane, the eldest at 9, was a responsible and motherly figure to her younger siblings. Anna, who was 7, was known for her cheerful and lively spirit. Little Grant, only 4 years old, was the baby of the family, adored by his big sisters. They were a typical happy family in the 1960s. Life was simple, and the community felt safe. Parents didn't worry about letting their children have a little freedom. It was a time of innocence, an era that was about to be shattered in the most brutal way imaginable. Australia Day, January 26, 1966, was a sweltering summer day in Adelaide. The heat was relentless, and the beach was the perfect place to escape. Jane, being the reliable older sister, was trusted to look after Anna and Grant. She had taken them on the 5-minute bus ride to Glenelg Beach many times before. It was a short trip they knew well. That morning, the children were excited. They packed their towels and bags, ready for a day of sun and sand. Nancy gave Jane some money for the bus fare and for a snack, maybe a meat pie or a pasty. She watched them walk to the bus stop, never imagining it would be the last time she would ever see them. The children were supposed to catch the noon bus home. It was a simple plan, one they had followed before without any issues. For the Beaumonts, it was just another ordinary holiday, but someone was watching them. A stranger with dark intentions was about to turn their joyful day into a national nightmare. Back at home, Nancy Beaumont started to watch the clock. The children were due back around 12:15 in the afternoon, after catching the noon bus from Glenelg. When that time came and went, she wasn't immediately alarmed. It was a hot day, and the buses could be running late. Maybe the children had missed the first bus. The next was scheduled to arrive around 2 o'clock. She tried to stay calm, telling herself they were responsible, especially Jane. They knew the routine. Still, a small seed of worry began to grow. The minutes ticked by slowly, each one stretching longer than the last. The empty street outside her window offered no sign of her children. The 2 o'clock bus came and went without Jane, Anna, Grant. Nancy's worry turned into real fear. It was completely out of character for them to be this late without any explanation. She began to pace the house, her mind racing through all the possible scenarios. Maybe they had met friends and lost track of time. Her husband Jim, a travelling salesman, was out of town on business, leaving her alone. The sunny afternoon now felt oppressive, the silence in the house deafening. By 3 o'clock, panic had fully set in. Nancy could wait no longer. She rushed to the beach, her heart pounding with every step. She searched the crowded sands, calling out their names. She scanned the faces of every child, but they were nowhere to be found. After a frantic, fruitless search, she returned home. Her husband Jim arrived from his trip, stepping into pure anguish. The police report was officially filed at 7:30 in the evening. As the mystery deepened, witness reports began to trickle in, painting a confusing and alarming picture of the children's last known hours. Several people remembered seeing the 3 siblings at Glenelg Beach. They were playing happily near the jetty, seemingly without a care in the world. But then, a crucial detail emerged. Multiple witnesses reported seeing the children in the company of a tall man, a thin man, a blonde-haired man, a man in his mid-30s, described as sun-tanned, athletic build. He was seen playing with the children, helping them put on their clothes, and appeared to be on friendly terms with them. This was unusual, as Jane was known to be shy around strangers. The timeline became more disturbing. A postman who knew the family well saw the children walking alone, away from the beach, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They seemed happy and even waved to him. This was hours after they were supposed to be home. The most chilling witness account came from a shopkeeper. She had sold Anna a meat pie. The children paid for it not with the coins their mother had given them, but with a £1 note. Nancy Beaumont was certain she had not given them that much money. It suggested the children had been given the money by someone else, likely the mysterious man. The disappearance of the Beaumont children sparked one of the largest police investigations in Australian history. Local police were quickly joined by detectives from Adelaide's Criminal Investigation Branch. The search expanded from a local effort to a nationwide manhunt. The faces of Jane, Anna, and Grant were plastered on newspapers, television screens and posters across the country. The public response was overwhelming. Volunteers from all walks of life descended on Adelaide to help, combing through sand dunes, parks, abandoned buildings. The search was vast and exhaustive, covering every possible area where the children might have been taken. The scale of the search was unprecedented. Police drained waterways, excavated construction sites, followed up on thousands of tips, no matter how outlandish they seemed. The entire nation was gripped by the story, united in a desperate hope for the children's safe return. In the desperate search for answers, police brought in Dutch parapsychologist Gerard Croiset. He was famous in Europe for supposedly using psychic abilities to solve crimes. His arrival in Adelaide in November 1966 created a media frenzy and gave the tormented Beaumont parents a sliver of hope. Croiset claimed the children were buried somewhere inside or near a new warehouse, built on the site of an old brickworks, not far from the Beaumont home. He pointed to a specific spot where he believed their bodies would be found under a layer of concrete. The public and media watched with bated breath as the police acted on his vision. The warehouse theory led to a massive excavation. The owners of the building, moved by the family's plight, gave police permission to dig. A fund was established, and the public donated over $40,000. Drills and jackhammers broke through the concrete floor as the nation waited. It was a dramatic and highly publicized effort, a final, desperate attempt to follow a lead that seemed to come from another world. However, after days of digging and searching, nothing was found. No bodies, no clothing, no evidence of any kind. The hope that Croiset had ignited turned to bitter disappointment, leaving the police and the Beaumonts back at square one. Over the years, numerous suspects were investigated, but none were ever definitively linked to the crime. One of the most prominent was Bevan Spencer von Einem. He was convicted in 1984 for the murder of a young man. Police suspected he might have been involved in the Beaumont case. Another person of interest was Arthur Stanley Brown. He was charged with the 1970 murder of two young sisters in Queensland. Brown bore a striking resemblance to the police sketch of the man seen with the Beaumont children. The police were also plagued by a series of cruel hoaxes that added to the family's suffering. 2 years after the disappearance, the Beaumonts received 2 letters, supposedly written by Jane. The letters claimed the children were alive and well, being held by the man. A third letter instructed the parents to meet the captor at a designated spot to have their children returned. Jim and Nancy, clinging to any possibility, went to the meeting place, followed covertly by police. But no one showed up. Years later, forensic analysis revealed the letters were a hoax. They were written by a 41-year-old man who claimed he was just trying to help. Each false lead and cruel trick was another devastating blow to a family already broken by grief. Decades have passed since that sunny Australia day in 1966, but the mystery of the Beaumont children remains unsolved. To this day, it is one of Australia's most infamous cold cases, a dark chapter in the nation's history. The case has never been officially closed. South Australia Police have maintained that they will investigate any credible lead. A reward of $1 million still stands for information leading to a conviction. In 2018, police conducted another high-profile excavation at a factory site in North Plympton based on a new tip. The ground yielded nothing but soil and rubbish, another dead end. The impact of the Beaumont children's disappearance on Australian society was profound and lasting. It marked the end of an era of innocence. Children once played unsupervised, walked to the shops, or took the bus alone. After January 26, 1966, that all changed. A new culture of fear took hold. The phrase stranger danger entered the national vocabulary. Parents began to supervise their children with a vigilance that bordered on paranoia. The case taught a generation that evil could be lurking anywhere, even on a crowded beach on a sunny afternoon. For Jim and Nancy Beaumont, life became an unending nightmare of grief and uncertainty. They remained in their Somerton Park home for many years, always hoping their children might one day return. They kept their children's rooms untouched, their toys and clothes waiting for them. Nancy never lost hope, famously saying in an interview that she would know them immediately, no matter how much they had aged. The couple eventually divorced, worn down by decades of emotional strain. They lived out their final years in private, shielded from the media glare. Nancy passed away in 2019. Jim passed away in 2023. Today, the story of Jane Beaumont, Anna Beaumont, Grant Beaumont is etched into the Australian psyche. It serves as a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the existence of unimaginable cruelty. The case continues to fascinate and horrify new generations, kept alive through books, documentaries, and constant media reflection. For the Beaumont family, it was an unhealing wound, a personal tragedy that became a public obsession, leaving behind a legacy of loss, fear, and a profound, unending sadness.